Welcome everyone to EA Global Summit 2021. This is Sujat from EA Global Summit organizing team. It's our privilege to have Doug Rosenberg in our presence, the founder and CTO of Parallel Agile, presenting Say Hello to CodeBot. And I also thank everyone for your interest in joining the session and for your kind information that we will be muting all the participants throughout the session. So please use the chat window to drop your questions to the speaker. Your queries will be answered at the end of the session. So we request everyone to visit the allotted Microsoft Team channel to communicate with Dow and the other EA practitioners after the session. Dow and the other speakers accepted to stay in the channel to have a one-to-one discussion and answer all your queries. The link to the MS Teams channel is posted in the chat window for your quick reference. If you have any difficulties in connecting to Teams, please let us know through the chat window or write us at registration@eaglobalsummit.com. Thanks once again for your interest and support to EA Global Summit 2021. Without any further ado, I'll request Dow to start his presentation. Over to you, Dow.
All right, thank you. Can you see my slides? Okay.
Perfect. We can see your slide.
Great. Well, thanks all of you for staying up late to attend this. My name is Doug Rosenberg, and I'm from Parallel Agile. And I want to introduce you all to CodeBot today. CodeBot is our enterprise architect-based code generator that basically takes an EA model and produces a database, an API, and a React.js web application. And so there's a phrase I may use a couple times in this presentation called the model is the code. What we're talking about is basically having your EA model function as source code for design of a web application. And so Hello CodeBot is basically a Hello World app. So, you know, if you're going to have the model be the code, then what does Hello World look like? So we decided it looks like what you're about to see. And so you're about to see a 3-screen web application that's generated from wireframes, a domain model, and a state machine. And this web application is functional, it's online, it's hosted and deployed, and there's zero code written to build it. We actually have, we wrote just a tiny bit of code to populate our database with some videos. It plays videos off of our YouTube channel is what the web app does. So Hello CodeBot is designed to be a simple starter web application for your web apps. So basically it lets you register and log in, and then it takes you to a home page. And the idea is you would then replace the home page with whatever other pages you want in your web application. So it's a very simple example, and it's designed to be simple so that everyone can understand it. One of the things that CodeBot does for you is it generates secure, authenticated web applications using JSON Web Tokens. And so that capability is built right in. If you've ever developed with JWT, it's kind of confusing and time consuming and easy to screw up. So CodeBot kind of takes care of that for you. It's doing a server-side authenticated web app. It supports rich media. So as you'll see, we use images, we play videos, we use style sheets. It's free to download. You can download the EA model from our website, and you can get yourself a CodeBot license and try it out. You can also view the already generated result of that web application because it's already hosted. And I'll give you some links to our online process guide where you can get at all that stuff. But basically, this Hello CodeBot example is designed to be a starter model so that you can start generating your own web applications. And you kind of get the registration and login for free. So the EA model is structured pretty simply. We have a domain model from which we're going to generate the database and a REST API. So what we're really building is a complete, what they call MERN Stack application. MERN Stack stands for Mongo, Express, React, and Node. You may have heard of MEAN Stack, which is Mongo, Express, Angular, and Node. We chose React.js instead of Angular.js because we thought it was a little bit more capable. But basically, so we have a domain model. We have some use cases which the code generator doesn't use, but having written a bunch of books on use case driven development, I can't really abandon them. So I still think writing your use cases is a good idea. And then it has this user interface package. And within the user interface package, we have assets, which are things like images and style sheets. We have navigation, which is a single state machine that links all the screens of your application together. And then we have wireframes. And because we have 3 pages in this web application, we have 3 wireframes. So we have a registration page, a login page, and a home page. And so we're going to take you through basically the entire EA model. And one of the things that's really cool about CodeBot is it doesn't just generate an application for you, it also automatically deploys your web application onto the cloud, specifically onto AWS Lambda. And so as soon as, so CodeBot really is a UML compiler. And you can basically take an EA model, compile it, and then the deployment process, it's like, I don't know, you used to have like a compiler and a linker, and so the linker basically builds the web application, deploys it to the cloud, and then you get a button that you can click a couple minutes after you run CodeBot, and you're actually working with the generated web application, which lets you go really fast in terms of iterative development, and that's kind of the whole name of the game here. So our domain model, as I said, is really simple. We have a user, which is the identity class. CodeBot looks at this identity stereotype to figure out which class on the model it should use for login. And then it has a video class, and we're playing videos off of YouTube, so really all we have is the name of the video and a URL. So it's a very, very simple example, designed to be a very, very simple example. You can register, log in, and play videos. So the next thing that we'll look at, if I go back to my project structure here, I have this package called navigation. Navigation has one state machine in it, and the state machine describes how the pages of our web application get sequenced. Okay, so first thing that you need to know is that the wireframe names match the state names on this state diagram. So what happens is my initial state is login. When I'm on the login page, if I click a register button, I go to the register page. And from the register page, I either can go back to login or I can actually register. If I register successfully, and then it enforces things like name uniqueness and all that stuff, and it hashes the password. Everything happens server side, so it's all secure and it's JWT authenticated. Once I registered, it takes me to the login page. Then once I log in, I go to the home page. Okay, so this is basically the state machine. I start out, I go to login. I can bounce back and forth between register and login as much as I like. And then once I've registered and logged in, I get to see my home page. So that's our state machine. Here's our first wireframe. And in Enterprise Architect, the wireframe diagram type is something called a web page wireframe, and that's available on the wireframing toolbox. Our wireframes can have images on them, and they can be styled using CSS, cascading style sheet files. And so that CSS files, with fonts and colors and things like that, are kept in the assets folder, as are any images that you want to use. So again, let me go back here. This folder, assets, is where you put your images and your style sheets. And so we're using React Bootstrap styling, and you can assign colors and things like that out of your style sheet for different client areas on the page. So this wireframe, the whole page is one client area. This blue panel is a nested client area, and the gray panel is a third client area. And CodeBot knows that the username and password attributes on this field are the username and password attributes on the user class because of this dependency arrow. So I have a UML dependency that says this section of my wireframe depends on that class on my domain model. Once I've done that, you don't have to do any further typing. CodeBot just knows that username matches that username. So our screens in this web application are linked to the database automatically. And the buttons on the wireframe are linked to the API. So CodeBot will take this domain model and it'll generate a REST API with users and videos in it. And that REST API will have all your database access functions, the create, read, update, delete, the CRUD functions, a bunch of search functions like find by attribute, things like that. And you can access the functions in the API by putting a tag value on the button. Okay, so we'll take you through this one step at a time here. First of all, this is our online process guide. And all of what I'm showing you is documented in much greater detail. So this is actually the link, and I'll share the link in the chat window when we're done. But it's parallelagile.github.io is the homepage for our online process guide. And then there's a whole CodeBot guide in here that has all kinds of stuff in it that's beyond Hello CodeBot. But Hello CodeBot as an example project is here. We have another example project, which is location-based advertising. And there's lots of detail in this online process guide. So basically, in order to link a panel to a CSS class, I use a tag value here called CSS class, and I specify it. So here's my assets folder showing my image, which is codebotbanner.png. That's this image. XO2 is a font. Main.css is the main style sheet. And so I just basically get these assets into the asset folder, which is really easy in EA. You just drop them on the diagram, then drag them into the assets folder. And then you can delete them off the diagram if you want to. But once you've done that, then you can drag and drop those assets from the assets folder onto the wireframe. Here I'm taking this blue area on the wireframe and I'm putting in a tag value here. So here's my tags. And so we're saying this is the primary variant, which is this light blue color here. So we're saying make this panel use the primary variant in our style sheet. And next, here's how we put the actions on the buttons. So I've selected my register button. Again, I go to tag values. So this is a common theme. CodeBot uses UML tag values for, you can think of them kind of like compiler directives. You know, it's basically when this thing is clicked, look at the tag value and do something with it. So we have a whole dozens of tags that CodeBot understands. This one says the action that happens when you click that button is to register, and register is a server-side REST API endpoint that's generated for that identity class. Okay, so I can have a button that says create one, I can have a button that says read one, delete one, update one, find something. They're just different tag values that we specify here in the tags for the various elements. So here's the REST API. So CodeBot generates API documentation as well. You can see the link to this is parallel.github.io. CodeBot, you know, and oops, back. So when you stereotype a class with identity, go back and show that again on the domain model. This stereotype of identity tells CodeBot to automatically generate server-side register and login methods. So because user is my identity class, it will get register and login. Okay. And again, this enforces name uniqueness. And the other thing that happens is that you automatically get JSON Web Token authentication. So this is part of the CodeBot Web Console. And you have this little checkbox here called Use JWT Authentication. Tell it the identity class, which is user. And CodeBot now simplifies all your JWT authentication really dramatically. And this saves you, I'm going to say, weeks of development time. If you've ever had to build a system with JWT by hand, it's quite honestly a pain in the rear, and it's just way simpler to do this with CodeBot. So CodeBot's all about going fast. I mean, the reason we built this is to allow you to go really fast on your software projects. I'm kind of obsessed with getting software developed quickly, and so so here is the CodeBot Web Console, and basically you export an XML file, XMI file from your EA model into and just upload it. You drag and drop it onto this, and that causes CodeBot to generate your code and deploy your web app. You can see I can have multiple projects in my CodeBot account. So this one happens to be the Hello CodeBot. I can create a new project. Edit takes me into where I can say, yeah, use JWT to lock this down. And it's currently taking about 3 minutes to take an EA model with wireframes in it, generate a complete React.js website, deploy that website to the cloud. And so you can see here, we have a hosted user interface build result. React UI is published. And once that's done, you just click this magic visit website button and your app's up and running. So you can go from essentially a UML model, an EA model, to a generated and deployed web application in a couple of minutes. That's a pretty astounding result, especially if you've, let me, I'll come back and talk a little bit more about that in a few slides. But if you've been following the Agile versus UML debate for any part of the last 15 or 20 years, like I have, the whole premise of the Agile crowd is that they want to get fast iterations from working code. And they have sort of perceived UML or painted UML as something that slows down the time at which you get to code. And what CodeBot does is it kind of flips the table and says, actually, we can take our UML model and have working and deployed code much faster than you can with your Scrum team and 2-week sprints and coding stuff manually, coding all your JWT authentication manually. We could just go a lot faster using EA and CodeBot. Let's continue. Suppose you don't want us to host your app even for testing, okay? So the point of this hosting is to be able to really quickly be able to iterate on your design and test stuff. But suppose you don't want to do that. Your app is too proprietary, you have security concerns, whatever, and you just don't want anybody else. I mean, it's secure anyway, so other people can't really see it, but you just don't want it up in the cloud anywhere. You want to host it yourself. You get, as part of running CodeBot, a zip file, and the zip file has your entire MERN Stack app in it. So what you can see is I get API documentation, I get server-side code, so MongoDB, I get user interface code, React.js, and you basically download this every time you run CodeBot. You download the zip file, and that's another path in addition to using our hosting. So here's what gets generated from that wireframe. This is a generated and hosted registration page with server-side, hash password, never have to send a password back to your web page, so nothing's exposed. All the JSON Web Token stuff is done, so it's an authenticated registration. Name uniqueness is enforced. All that comes for free. And so basically, you can start testing this now. So this is what I was talking about in terms of the sort of agile versus, it's kind of feedback driven versus plan driven. In general, UML is planned software development, and agile is feedback driven software development, where you get something up and running, you show it to users, and you get feedback from working code. That's where the benefits of agile development come from. What we now have is the best of both worlds, because we're working within a planned software development. This is all being done from a really great planning tool, Enterprise Architect, and yet we get feedback from working code much faster than you can get it without doing planning. So the planning doesn't slow you down, the planning actually helps you to go faster, okay? And we follow this kind of simplified spiral model. So we have a book, a parallel agile book. One of my co-authors on it is Barry Bain, who's the inventor of the spiral model in software development. We took Barry's spiral model and kind of simplified it to proof of concept, MVP, and optimization. And you do as many optimization cycles as you need. And then we made it work on a per use case basis so that you can assign, if you want to, a developer per use case, and then you can start going really fast. Because if each developer has a CodeBot, they're code generating their screens for their use case, and boom, you're up and running. We're partnered with Liber and Lemon Tree, so you can put version control and merging and differencing behind it. So it's really and kind of a shockingly fast way to develop software. So let's go back and take you through the next two wireframes. So this is just kind of a repeat of the register wireframe. So I'll just go through it quickly. This is an image from the assets folder. This is a stylized panel using the primary variant out of our style sheet. This links our identity class from the domain model to the fields on this screen. The tag value for this one, instead of saying action register, it says action login. And this one is just a navigation button to go back to the other page. And the transitions between these pages follow the state machine, the navigation state machine. So there it is generated. You get it at the same time as you get the register one. You get login and register, and you get those for free. So if you just download the Hello CodeBot model, you get absolutely free server-side authenticated register and login, and then you just add your own app starting from the home page. So speaking of the home page in Hello CodeBot shows some really more advanced and interesting capability. When we set out to generate a React.js website, we didn't stop with just generating kind of a static React page that looks like a React page, but it doesn't work like a React page. React typically uses something called Redux for state management, and state management maintains user interface state across your single page web application. So really, this Hello CodeBot example is it's a single page app. So login, register, and homepage are different divs in the web in the React page. And we've done some really interesting things with dependency arrows here to save you all kinds of coding time. So the first thing we've done here is we put this little combo box on the diagram. And here's the reference to user interface state bound components. Okay, so our process guide explains to you how this all works. So we've said this combo box is dependent on this video. It's basically a table, it's a collection in MongoDB, and the value that we're going to show in this list is the names of the video. Okay, so basically I wire this thing up by saying make this combo box depend on the video table and show me the names of all the videos in the list. No coding. Okay, no, not one line of code to do that. So that's automatically done because of the UML dependency arrow that we have here. And then we made the video player, which is a React.js component, depend on the selected video. So whatever video you have selected on this drop-down menu automatically plays in the video player. And all that's done with no coding. Okay. So our director of development, Matt Stevens, is kind of a genius at this stuff, and I am continually astounded by what he's able to do. He is right at the moment making CodeBot talk to externally defined REST APIs using UML interfaces, and I'm all excited to see how that comes out. It should be done in a day or two. But here is the generated homepage. Okay, so here's our video player on the wireframe. There's our video player in the generated React code. Here's our wireframe, or our combo box here. There's the combo box there. It says choose a video, and that list is populated from the video table. So I don't have to do any programming to build this. And so if you thought the server-side registration and login and authentication was cool, you're gonna think this stuff is really, really cool because it's an astounding amount of programming that you don't have to do. You just draw some dependency arrows and you get a working app. And so that's a button that hyperlinks to our website where you can go buy yourself a CodeBot license. Best deal in town. Again, the Redux state management maintains user interface state between different components on the page. So this component, the video player component, and the combo box component are dependent on each other, and the combo box is dependent on something in the database, and it always works. It's, to me, pretty astounding. So what you've seen up to now is a complete no-code solution. So not one line of code was built to do any of this functionality. However, CodeBot is not just a no-code tool, but it's actually a low-code tool that allows you to attach server-side event handlers, and you can attach them to state machines, you can attach them to class operations, and so to repeat, not a single line of code has been written yet. In Hello CodeBot, we added one simple server-side event handler, and that's to initialize our database with the names of a couple of videos. Okay, so what we did is we just took the names of 2 videos off our YouTube channel, saying, here's the name, generate complete web apps, including UI and database. There's the URL. And so when you, so this actually executes on the onRegister method. Let me go way back to my domain model. Forgive me for a second. So over here, we have an onRegister method, and we attach that little piece of code. If you double click on this method in EA, double click on the operation, it'll actually, it has a code, EA has a code editor built into it, and you can put JavaScript code inside that operation. And so that's what we did here to initialize the database. Forgive me for jumping around. Okay, so this code executes on register. So once CodeBot executes that register method, it's also going to run this code. Okay, and so there are more details, lots of them, in our online process guide. And I can put the link for that into the chat window. It's actually shown here on the slide. And anyone who wants a copy of the slides, just shoot me an email and I will send you those slides. And, you know, but if you go to parallelagile.github.io/CodeBot, you'll basically get here, click on the example project, Hello CodeBot, and then you can download the zip file with the EA model in it, and then you can click this link and run the application. It's all there, it's all working. And so basically, I think I've finished almost half an hour early, but given the time of night, maybe that's not so bad. And so I can take questions if anyone has them. I can also pull up the process guide. So I think I have it running here. So let me put this link in chat. So that gets you that. There's the zip file. There's the Hello CodeBot app. It comes up set to login. It's all hosted and deployed. So it's all kind of self-contained. I guess I'll put my slides back on the screen in case anybody has questions about anything. So I guess I can sum it up by going back to the first couple slides. Hello CodeBot does register login and this home page that plays videos. It's simple, secure, rich media, free to download. You can use it to start building your own web apps. That's your project structure. It's downloadable from the link that I just put in the chat window. And so when it comes up, it starts at the login page because that's how we've designed it. And if I want to go to the register page, I click that button, I'm on register, I can go back to login. All of that is, it's live and online. Anybody have questions?
Thanks a lot, Doug. I thank Doug for on behalf of everyone for making this session a wonderful one. As of now, the audience haven't posted any questions yet, so we'll wait a couple of minutes for them to ask some questions.
Okay. Yeah, we're very excited about this. I mean, I've been working with enterprise architects since EA3 and written, I guess now 8 books on software engineering, most of them featuring enterprise architect. So we're not rookies at this stuff. And I'm somebody who was skeptical of code generation for most of my career, actually, until, we sort of started out saying, okay, let's do one useful thing with code generation, which is to generate database CRUD functions. And then that kind of grew into, I wonder if we can generate screens from wireframes. And sure enough, we can. And then I wonder if we can automatically deploy these things to the cloud. And sure enough, we can do that. And so we've been working on this for quite a while. And we're pretty excited about what we can do. So feel free to email me, Doug@parallelagile.com. If you have business-related questions, my business development director is here. His name is Rajesh. So if you email Rajesh, R-A-J-E-S-H, @parallelagile.com, type his email. In here, so for any business-related questions, like I need to buy 50 licenses today, Rajesh would be really happy to get that email from you. And it doesn't seem like there's any questions, so I think probably we can wrap it up.
We received a question from Paul.
Oh, okay.
What is the most complex application have you created with this CodeBot?
Oh, let's see. We've been testing it on sort of a bunch of internal applications. And the database and the API part has been around for longer than the user interface stuff has. So the more complex, probably the most complex applications right now, or application is one called KarmaCam, which is a crowdsourced traffic safety system. It includes an Android app, an iPhone app, web application, and so it's basically a dashboard camera app that sits on your car and lets you, actually I can show you a little video of KarmaCam. So we didn't use the user interface component yet, although we're working on retrofitting and trying to replace our existing web app with that. But give me a second here. So I'm going to show you a video of basically capturing a double parking violation. So again, the database and the API for this is built with CodeBot. This web application is built by hand using AngularJS, but we're working on a CodeBot generated version of it. So what you're seeing here is a video from our dashboard camera app, and we're driving past this double parked UPS truck. And what we want to do is we want to get the license plate number of the UPS truck. And so I can capture that. So notice my lighting isn't very good. So I can actually go in our web app and adjust the brightness on this. And now once I've captured that, we have a machine learning license plate reader interface. And the machine actually reads that license plate number and lets me save that in the database. And so this app, the database and the API have been designed with CodeBot. We have another project, which is a game project. It's called Tiki Man Go. And again, that project's built in Unity 3D. And so we designed the database and the API for that using CodeBot. Currently working with a client that has a different gaming application, and it's kind of an interesting scenario. I'm not going to name the company, but their database was not secure, and they got hacked. And they said, "Can you give us sort of some emergency help in getting this hosted and online?" And we took their MySQL database design and entered it into Enterprise Architect and code-generated their database and API, and they're now basically unplugging the back end of their game and plugging in this is ongoing work that we're doing just actually right now with a client. So yeah, we built some complex stuff. This KarmaCam app is actually the book example for the Parallel Agile book. And so you can read about that design. And we kind of developed the code generator in parallel with this KarmaCam app over the last few years. Other questions?
There are no other questions asked yet. So we will move the question and answers in the teams.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks, Dow, and thanks to everyone for your time and support throughout the session. Hope it is very informative and gives a deeper insight into the topic. Now, Dow will be available in MS Teams to have a detailed discussion and answer more questions. The link to the MS Teams channel is posted in the chat window for your quick reference. If you have any difficulties in connecting to Teams, please let us know through the chat window or write us at registrations@eaglobalsummit.com. Thanks once again, everyone, for your and looking forward to host you all in another wonderful session. Thanks, Dow.
Thank you.